Greetings and welcome back, one and all, to From the Depths, where I'm in the water. And as you may have noticed, I am also building a new ship. As promised in the last episode, we are going to need something much more powerful to take on the Steel Striders, at least with the sort of confidence that we want to be able to take them on with. So, this is the blueprint. Let me come out a little bit with the camera. There we are. So this is the shape of our new vessel. In fact, this end bit, I am not liking that too much. Let's address this. Let's take that back a little bit. It was going to have to be one of those, wasn't it? We want to have a little bit more of a flat feeling at the back without it just coming straight down into a point. But there we are. This is the deck, or at least what I imagine the deck is going to be for now. This little room here will be the bridge. We will have a rear deck gun out here. We might even have two, actually. You know what? Yeah, let's adjust this slightly. Let's pull this bridge just forward, about midway along the deck. There we go. Something like this. We don't want that there. Nor this, or this, or this, or in fact this. We want it to be large enough for us to comfortably fit inside without having to worry too much. We're probably not going to have the AI just sat there on the bridge. It'll probably be a little bit more armored beneath the deck here. But one of the big things that I'm looking at doing, and this is why I wanted to get the deck shape first. Now, generally speaking, it's going to be a lot easier to build up from the keel, so you've got the nice kind of tapered shape taking effect. I've not done that here because I need to know exactly how tall this ship is going to need to be, or at least how tall the keel is going to need to be, or below deck, rather, I should say. Because we are going to be using a vertical setup for the guns. Now, what I mean by that is I'll give you a quick demonstration. Let's use wood, and we'll just use wood blocks. I want the guns themselves to be no taller than this, more or less. Maybe about this deep, something like that. The cannons, of course, will be much, much larger. But I want the gun itself to be no larger than that, to have a fairly slim profile against the deck. However, I want the guns to be absolutely monstrously powerful. For obvious reasons, really. So, what I'm thinking of doing is having the guns have a central... Well, let me just adjust that. A central spine going into the belly of the ship. Now, this will actually be... The turret itself might be anchored all the way down here. It'll be a precision turret, so everything will turn nice and cleanly. But down here is where we will have all of the functional components. So instead of having what I've done previously and had the entire cannon built up on deck, so you could easily destroy the majority of it, most of the cannon will be below deck. That'll give us two advantages. It'll give us a lot of room for building, so I'd be able to make double or triple barrel deck guns with significant ease over what I've previously had, while still allowing me to have a fairly slim profile on top of the deck. Now, that will allow me to do another thing, in that I could have tiered guns much easier than I could before. So, for example, we could have some sort of a main cannon, quite a powerful main gun, then above that, maybe over here, just slightly displaced, we could have some sort of AA gun. And again, built in much the same way, so that the turret itself might only be this wide, something like this, coming up there. But the middle of the turret, or whatever would be the middle, going down about the same distance as this one. So we'd be able to make very, very rapid-fire, explosive, and armor-piercing shell AA guns, much like the Sun Wukong has. The Sun Wukong's anti-flyer gun is ideal for what we want, honestly, and we'll probably be modeling it after that in some way. So we could have a multi-barreled AA gun, maybe even a quad-barreled. A multi-barreled main deck gun there. We would have a multi-barreled main deck gun all the way over here as well. Maybe somewhere about here. We could even have two, one on each side, if we really wanted to, and I kind of like that idea, actually. Two fairly modest deck guns. In fact, you know what? Let's actually start that out. Let's start... We could have... Well, that would only allow us to have a single barrel deck gun, easily. Yeah, we could do that. We could have these deck guns here. Maybe if we have it centralized like that and build out to the side instead of more towards the middle. There we go. So they should be able to rotate easily enough. So that's 2 deck guns at the front. Then maybe a raised deck gun behind that. So let's pencil that in with wood. There we go. So we've got a nice, much larger deck gun here. I think about there would have to be at center. And this one would be much taller. So we'd bring that about this tall for the start. So the cannons would be coming out about there on this. Because what we want to do is we want to make sure that these things can fire over each other. So actually we want that a little bit taller. There we go. So this would be the main deck gun with its barrels like so. I'm thinking triple barrel design for the main deck gun at the front. There we go. Something like that. These ones, not nearly as powerful. These can be Diddy deck guns. Like that. A bit more rapid fire, though we could easily go for a twin barrel design. I'm liking the idea of penciling these in, actually, before I start doing anything else. Something like that. So we've got our main gun, 2 support guns there. And what we would like is some sort of AA back here. I'm wondering if I should have missiles. I've left this space conspicuously bare for the possibility of having a missile system, but honestly, I've got the Kunanun for that. So why would I do that? Why mess with that? Let's not do that. In fact, let's instead. We could have fairly potent AA gun. We could have the main AA gun if we wanted it here. A very large, high power AA gun. Let's try and centralize that. So we want this 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 on each side. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 on each side. There we go. So this could easily be a quad barrel deck gun for taking out aircraft. I think that would be ideal for us. Though that is probably much more firepower than we actually need. But as that's going to primarily be aiming up, it wouldn't have to worry about too much about interfering with the main deck and at the front. But there's something about that that still doesn't quite sit right with me. Using all of that space for an AA gun seems a trifle wasteful. Maybe I'm coming at this wrong. Maybe the main gun should really just be the one forward of all of the other weapons. And much of this episode, if it wasn't already clear to you, is going to be me planning what I'm going to be building. It'll probably take 1 or 2 episodes for me to build it. But I will likely skip a lot of the construction. Especially the fleshing out the hull and shaping the hull, honestly. That will come in later on. But I know quite a few people actually enjoy watching me puzzle through how I'm going to build something. So that's why I like including these. Get rid of that, get rid of you. There we go. So we've gotten rid of this whole section there. I'm thinking, instead of having those tiny little guns necessarily small in order to handle having the large deck gun behind it without completely obscuring the large deck gun, how about we actually have guns that can only fire broadside? So we'll have the main deck gun right at the front here with a fairly low profile. So let's pencil that out. So start here. We want this to be a triple barrel deck gun. So we want the center to be about here, I would say, with some nice long barrels. The barrels will be much, much larger than this, I suspect. But we'll pencil them in first. So that'll be our main deck gun. Oops, let's get rid of all of this. The mirror line is throwing me off a little bit. I know, ironic. We could even actually afford to make this a... should we actually make this more barrels than that? Because we've got a lot of space here. We could have a crazy powerful deck gun. Something like this, perhaps. It would require a fair bit of finagling to get the barrels to work properly. but we could do something like this if we really, really wanted to. Question is, do we want to? Do we want to go that overboard? Everything in me is saying, this is a bit silly. What if it doesn't work? You'll have wasted all of that time. But then there's another big part of me that's like, well, if you're not willing to take some risks, then what kind of commander are you? So we would have something along these lines. We still wanted to kind of center it, but it's not as necessary. So I'll bring it out to... Because, again, this is just a rough sketch of where I want the components. So that would be the main deck gun at the front. Huge cannons, primarily for taking out slow or heavily armored opponents. They're not going to be spamming bullets. These are going to be there for wrecking something big. Then, along the side, we could have some more conservative guns. Again, their important parts would be inside. So we could afford to have custom cannons still. In fact, we could have a couple of them. A single cannon means, considering there's going to be the same amount of depth for each cannon, a single cannon means we can make that cannon much more capable, much more powerful when it comes to the kinds of shots that it's going to be able to unleash. So how about something like that then? I like it. So we'd have 2 broadside cannons there. We could even... What I was going to say is we could have the AA on top of the bridge. We could incorporate the bridge, the back of the bridge, for example, to have part of the AA gun kind of coming down inside it, like this. And that actually does... It sings to me. It says, this is what I need to do. I know it's what I need to do. I know it to be so. So we've got 3. This is 1, 2. So yeah, we want to try and not fight with the controls. Right, there's the center point of this gun then. And then we'd have the bridge going around that. Now, of course, because this is going to be rotating, I can easily make the outside wall part of the bridge and then have just the innards rotate instead of the actual turret here. The turret would sit somewhere up here. The actual turret itself with the barrels. And so as a result, this will have even more depth to add reloaders and explosive components. So yeah, actually I'm really quite liking that idea. We are going to go overboard on this. Now there are 2 reasons why we're going to be going overboard. And the first one is we want a lot of firepower because I'm quite afraid of the opponents that we're fighting. The best way to dispel that fear is to crush them utterly. The other reason is there's a very, very realistic possibility that we're going to be starting the campaign anew. Now, I haven't really talked about that much yet, so I'll take this opportunity to mention it. The game is getting a fair old patch. A patch that will likely... I'm not exactly sure on the timescale of this patch's release, but will probably necessitate having a new campaign. Or at least it will make sense to do it because the main game will... The game will have changed. The early game will change so much that if we just continue with the campaign that we'd already started, we'll probably miss out. And I don't want to miss out. Is that all right? That looks wrong. That looks more like an oval. It is more like an oval. That isn't good. We need to expand this. In each direction, I would say. So yes, as a result, there's every possibility that we may soon be switching to a new campaign. And that will make me quite sad, obviously, because we put a lot of work into this campaign. But at the same time, it'll be an opportunity for me to put into practice some of the things I've learned through this campaign. We'll have 2 additional guns on the side here as well, I think. There we go. And then just taper this off. So this is the blueprint for our new... I guess you could call it a battleship. I really feel that calling it a battleship is a bit too soon. Counting our eggs before they've hatched. It's a fairly large ship, but I wouldn't necessarily say that this is battleship worthy material. Where on earth am I? I'm all the way over here. We're drifting. But I think that this could easily deal with quite potent enemies. Now, the only thing that I haven't made room for, and I probably should, is laser missile defense. Now, how I would set that up, I don't know. I'm thinking probably having the missiles running along the sides. The laser cavity. Either running along the very sides or right at the bottom, or maybe even, actually, if we had the laser cavity, we'll pencil this in again. If we go down here, we had the laser cavity somewhere around here. So starting there and running the full length of the ship, we would be able to make a very powerful laser. Now, generally speaking, making one extremely powerful laser cavity is better than having lots of split ones. Now, that's something I've learned recently thanks to the enormous amount of advice I get in the comments for my From the Depth series. It was a bit of a problem with the Panakas, really. I tried to not put all of my eggs in one basket, and as a result, kind of messed it up. Wait, there's one problem there, and that is the AA system. So what we'll do is we'll just have one long laser cavity like this. That should actually be more than enough to power a laser defense system, I would say. But perhaps if I absolutely must, I could add another one. No, we probably won't be able to add another one over there, so that's fine. So that will be where our laser cavity will be going. Somewhere along this line, we'll probably bring it down one more so I can have 4 Q switches at the top. Now, the reason why we would want 4 Q switches is just so that it's a little bit faster at firing, because obviously that's going to be a huge advantage to something that is trying to shoot down missiles, especially when there are a lot of them. So I'll take this away. I'll leave a couple of support struts just here and there, just so I know where it is. There we go. And obviously, the actual laser pumps on the laser cavities themselves. So that'll be the laser there. We'll have to find room for an engine. That'll probably go right below the laser, honestly, and probably be about the same sort of length. Maybe just slightly longer. I'm not sure, because we're going to have to manage to fit this around the guns. So that is, in and of itself, going to be a bit of an issue. But we could have that so far down that the guns themselves don't need to use up all of the space that would be available to them, because at a certain point, you're just adding parts onto it for the sake of it, really. You're not actually getting as much of a return anymore. Once you've reached a certain firing speed, for example, it doesn't matter how many more auto-reloaders you put on there, you're not going to get any more bang for your buck. So we've got a bit of an idea now of where we want to be. Let's try and just find out where exactly I want this keel to start. So we'll bring this all the way down. The below deck section, where will the engine be, for example? How deep? How much room are our guns going to have to build? We could go deeper than this, but I don't think we want to. Something like this should be okay. Now, I know you know what? Sod it. We'll just do it this way. I was about to say, I know I could have done this, but I didn't for some reason. Then I was like, I can't think of what reason I didn't do it. And probably means there isn't a good reason, so I should just undo that. But there we go. That'll be easy for me to delete now. So that's going to be, I don't know, maybe a little bit deeper than this. That doesn't look like it's actually going to give me a lot of room. I'm making an intentionally enormous craft, so perhaps I should actually go all this way down. It looks like it's more than I need. But really, is it? Let's try and put a little bit of a taper on this so I can kind of have an idea that if I wanted to taper it, where I could start bringing down the shape of the nose. Now, I want the nose to be much, much better shaped. Now, as for the keel, if we have the deck reaching down this deep, then we're going to want the keel, an actual intentionally just weighted component, much deeper, but no, not a huge amount. Probably the center of the new keel would be there. I'm thinking we would have a bit of shaping on that as well. Now, there is a reason why I'm doing a lot of sort of pencil work in the design right now. And that is because if I do this now and tell you what my plans are, there'll be about a day where you can tell me, that's a stupid plan because of X, Y, and Z. And then I'll be able to quickly implement those changes. Whether it works like that, I'm really not sure. But we'll give it a try. Oh no! Why did that go? That's not what I wanted to happen. Damn it. Okay. The keel will be about this wide, I'm thinking. And we'll have a bit more of a rounded shape, and it will even protrude a little bit from the nose, much like some real ships. I am definitely taking a little bit of inspiration from what I've seen of real ships, but this, I'm liking it so far. Now, most of the below deck is going to be made of metal, so it's going to be heavy, not lightweight metal alloy. The bridge is going to be mostly made of metal as well. The deck, I might change it. I don't know. It really does depend on how heavy this becomes, because these guns are going to weigh an enormous amount. But I think we're about ready to actually start adding in some shapes. But before we do, let's come out of this. There we go. Now, obviously, I haven't got a name yet, so it's the Hair Banu. And have we got a fight? We have got a fight. We've got quite a lot, actually, coming down here. Perhaps we should deal with this now, rather than later. How are you doing, Kunanoon? Well, you're on your way there for repairs, so I'm going to let you do that. Eversong, let's get you up there. Let's get you into this fight straight away. And we'll actually wrap the episode off there, I think. We'll have this fight, and then when we return, hopefully, much of the shaping work for the keel will be done, and the hull in general. We're going to teleport over to the Eversong. We're going to get into position, and we're going to have a bit of a scrap. There we go. Let's see if the Eversong is enough to win this fight by itself. Now, let's just hover up. It's only 2 enemies. I imagine the Eversong should be okay. I'm hoping the Eversong should be okay. She's close enough to the rest of my fleet that they might even actually be able to get involved. That is a very long ship, though. Might be a missile ship? Not sure. Right. Well, the whole Eversong fleet should be able to spawn in. Oh, wow. I love the way it looks. I love the way this looks. That is truly amazing. But, wow, your cannons are actually quite frightening. I'll admit. Looks like we've already taken 1 cannon off, perhaps? I'm not sure. Missiles coming in. The Eversong's main gun is also firing. Actually firing on the repair boat, it seems. Which is interesting. And those missiles are utterly annihilating the main weapons on this thing. But unless we can take out that repair boat, it's not going to do a whole lot of good for us. No, we should be fine. The torpedoes are coming in. They're missing, interestingly enough. No, they're turning around now. The Pinakas have redesignated their targets. Honestly, not very effective, but man, these things have style. Style points alone, you win this battle. Without doubt. The fact you've made part of your boat out of wood, though? That's a bit of a interesting choice. Wow. Okay, so you can actually repair things. That is set up for some sort of dock, maybe? Interesting indeed. But with that victory easily ours, the Eversong it continues to impress. Let's get the Eversong down there. We're going to consolidate our forces around here. We should be able to respond quickly to any threat that's moving around out there. But for the time being, I'm going to get back to building our new ship. Let's teleport over to the Hair Banu. In fact, let's just bring it into play. And then teleport over to the Hair Banu. Warp to chair. There we go. Fantastic. Right, when you return, the Hair Banu will probably look a fair bit different, hopefully. It will have, if not the guns, well, I won't actually put it the functional components just yet, but I'll definitely cut out the holes for the guns to work in, and maybe put the first touches to the seats for their turrets. I'll also have built up the bridge slightly, so that we've got a seat for the main AA gun, in fact, the only AA gun now in the design, and I will also have started to shape out the hull. I will probably have finished working on the hull and the keel in general. But that is going to be it from me. I do hope you're looking forward to the next episode. I am. But until then, and as always, do take care.